Oh, I want to be able to do that because I want to be able to read your comments. Hola. Ooh, can't read it. It's a lovely day here in, wow. I'll show you the volcán in a second. That's gorgeous. Hola. Can I see? No, nobody. But it's just a beautiful afternoon. And the internet here is very spotty. So if you start watching and you see me disappear, that's probably what happened. Oh, look at that. Look how gorgeous. And the sun is like, welcome, sun. So nice. Mm. Do, 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 do. I know it's Easter, but mira esa belleza. I am on the terrace, and it looks absolutely amazing. I don't see anybody. If you're here, say hi so I know. Otherwise, I'm gonna go off. Oh, a ver. One. Oh, I see one. One person. That's so good. Oof. Yes. They're still shooting fireworks and something here for Easter. I don't know what it is. They were having a lot of firecrackers on the road before the processions, and somebody told me my guide said that they shoot the firecrackers to ward off evil spirits. So, oh, here's somebody. Is that you, Auntie? You know, I can't see you guys with these fancy glasses. I can see Fleur de Livre, Fleur de Lis. Oh, Fleur de Lis living. Hey! Ooh, gotta hang on to my hat. This is my new Guatemalan hat. These are the two holes here. That's what tells you they are from Guatemala. Now, you know, when you wear a hat, that means you don't want anybody to see what's underneath, right? So hopefully it doesn't fly off. Hi, guys. Yes, they are celebrating uh, Easter here. And I'm gonna let a few people show up so I can show you the view. It's just amazing on the terrace, which is where I am in Antigua, Guatemala. Yes. Oh, look at you guys. I hope you had a good Easter. Well, I went to Easter service last night. I think at 7. Lasted 3 hours, just like the Easter service I was in Chitre in Panama, 3 hours, because they read like scriptures from like Genesis all the way to the crucifixion and the resurrection. And then somebody reads, we get up, we sing. You read, you get up, they sing, and it's like on and on and on and on it goes. Yes. Yeah, so the thing that you're hearing is they are shooting fireworks or firecrackers. I don't know. I don't see anything in the sky, so it's all low. But you hear that every so often. It's like, okay, I'm in Antigua. Hola. Felices Pascuas. I think it's kind of weird the way they say Happy Easter. We say Feliz Dia de Ramos for um, Palm Sunday. But then for this one, it's Felices in plural. So I don't know. Well, welcome to this quick live, about Antigua. I think it's a place that most people should visit. It's a beautiful place. I wouldn't say the folks are friendly and I'll talk about that in a minute, because I'm in a touristy area. They just want you to buy something. I mean, you get accosted, you want to buy a shawl, you want to buy trinkets, you want to buy. And this guy, it's not just one. They have these little flute thing, and he's like, fun, fun, fun. I said, but I'm old. What would I do with that? And every time he sees me, I get accosted. All right, let me give you a quick show of what you're looking at here. I am on the second level. they don't have a lot of homes with second level, and this is called a terrace. But the homes don't have two level. Everything is like flat, like in Mexico, right? And then when you open the beautiful double doors, then you go in, and that's when the magic happens. So right now you're looking at, peaks of Andes Mountains, right? And then you go all around. Ay, 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 ay. Yes, I'm standing up here. Okay, back me. So a lot of the restaurants have the second level, which is the terraces. So it is surrounded by mountain. And I think I read that it separates the Yucatan from Central America. And we're going to talk about that for a second. All right. And what you're looking at right there, that is the dormant volcano, Volcan de Agua. And then they have two other ones, right? And then you could see some ruins of buildings that they had, and because they had a major earthquake that pretty much destroyed most of the city. And this is our little piece of heaven here. Look at those seats, solid rock, solid. But I don't know whose idea it was to create that, but that's it. But anyway, were you able to see? I hope you were. So, but anyway, so Antigua is in the western part of Guatemala. Guatemala is bordered by Mexico, Honduras, and another one. It's not landlocked. You do have some, ocean on both sides, but it is the upper northernmost part of Central America, right? Because you have Mexico, and then you have Guatemala, Belize to the side, and then you have San Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and then you have Costa Rica, and then you have Panama. Because once you leave Panama and you go to Colombia, then you're in South America. So they call all this area the isthmus, right? So it's not just Panama. I used to think Panama is an isthmus, but Panama is just part of the isthmus that includes Guatemala, San Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Belize. And the Belize history was very interesting to me. I didn't realize. I am in a hotel that used to be a home, that used to be an antique store. And let me tell you how I ended up here, because I do have a story about my lodging. I decided to come to, I don't know if I might have to change, because it looks like I'm really dark right there. I don't know. Oh, that's better. Okay. Let me move around a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So about 3 weeks ago, I decided to come to Antigua. And they tell you it's like going to Carnival. They say you have to make your reservation for hotel like months in advance. In fact, some people just, when they're leaving, they make it for the next year if they want to come. I don't or to see. So lodging, I couldn't find anything in my budget. The only thing I could find was a hostel. Now, I had an experience once before with a hostel, and I said, I will never do that again because this is not for old people. All these young kids on backpacks, I can see them. So I remember when I booked the thing, they said 6 people. And I'm like, well, it's not that bad. Because last time when I was at a hostel in El Valle in Panama, it was like 11 or 12 people, like the rule double bunk beds. And I'm like, oh my God, and then the backpacks on the ground. And it's like, oh, I'm not doing that again. But I know it's only 5 days and I really want to go to Antigua. Maybe I can survive it. Oh boy. And then after they got my money, it says, oh no, this is not a private room with a private bathroom. They're going to have 11 people in that room. So I'm like, oh, right. So I got there and then I'm talking to this lady. They're very friendly. I've never had any problem with them. And then there was a guy sitting there on the bunk. And I was like, oh, we have a guy. And this lady said, yes, this is co-ed. I'm like, The only good thing about that is that they had one bathroom for hombres, for guys, and one bathroom for females. So if you had two guys, you have 11 people. That means you have one bathroom for 9 women. I was like, oh, this is not good. At least she said, well, here's your bed. Give you your towel. You feel like almost like you're getting. I felt like I was stepping into the jail. When they give you your towel and your stuff in a pile and they give it to you. Hi, Greta. So listen, I spent 2 nights there. I did not sleep a wink. The mattress was hard. People kept turning the light on, turning the light off. People on a different schedule, coming in, closing off. And the one that did me in was the guy who was right across from the hall from me, snored all day long. I haven't been married in like 15 years. I've gotten unused to people snoring, so I could not sleep. Hola, hey, HBFI. So it was terrible. But I'm like, okay, because Good Friday was the day that was the busiest. I said, okay, if Good Friday is over, chances are I can find another place to stay. So I started looking because 48 hours I did not sleep a wink. And I'm like, I'm older. If I don't get sleep, yes, I, I'm going to get sick. And I'm like, this is not gonna be no bueno. So I found this place and it's like a private room, private bathroom. Oh, so you know what? I do that all the time. If I do something once, it's not so good, and I'm like, well, maybe the second time around be better. This time, it's a no, no, no. If I want to go somewhere I really want to go, and they only have hostel, I'm not doing it. I'm not. But I'm very happy here. I mean, the people are like, yeah, they say they're very friendly, but the guy was, anyway. I'm too old for people to upset me about stuff like that. But it's full, and I did a video of the place. It's full of antiques and all kind of wood stuff and crosses, with the Spanish um, style. So Antigua itself, when you read about it, they said it's in the western part of the country, and it includes a lot of the Spanish style architecture. What is left, because like this, the volcano that I showed you, that one over there. Oh, the clouds have lifted, and you could see it up there. They said the Spaniards, when they came, and the Spaniards came from Mexico. This is my guide giving me the history lesson. It was so interesting. Um, he said the Spaniard came and they stayed, at the foot of that mountain, and then they started cutting the trees down. You know what happens when you do that? You cause erosion, and then when the rain comes, there is nothing to hold the ground. So they had a major mudslide. That's why they call this volcan de agua, because they thought it was water that came out of the volcano. That doesn't happen, right? Um, and then they had the earthquake. So between the mudslides, burying a lot of the homes and people dying, then they had the earthquake. So it kind of did the town in. The town here used to be the capital city of Guatemala. But after the earthquakes and all the buildings, got damaged and people died, then they moved the capital to Guatemala City. And then somebody said, well, they have the new city and then have the old city. Therefore, the name Antigua. Antigua means old. So that's why Antigua is so attractive. When I look at the mix of the people who were here, it's a little more sedate today. Good Friday was this. It was madness. The amount of people that were here, following 4 or 5 different processions coming from all over the place. And they say that the procession and the Good Friday processions, all Semana Santa actually, in Guatemala is the best in Central America, because we are in Central America, not South America. And the best one in the world is in Malaga, Spain. So that's where I want to go just to visit. Well, I don't know. They might shoo me away because they don't like foreigners. That's what I'm reading. But if I said I'm only here for 3 days, is that okay? So my story about the hostel, no mas, no bueno, no, 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 no. Mm-mm. It doesn't matter how they tout it. And I told the young lady, I said, I haven't slept in 2 days and I'm an old lady. I need to get out of here. And I'm within 30 minutes, I had my bag and I found a place that was like 150 meters from where I was. So I didn't have to take the little tuk tuk, the little taxis. I still want to get in one of those. When I'm visiting a place, I want to do it all. All right. So the geography I told you, Guatemala is in the northernmost part of Central America. The Spaniards were in Mexico first, and then they came down to Guatemala, bringing a lot of the Aztec and the Mexican culture with them. So when you hear, even in this little touristy area, there's a strong Mexican influence. Mexican music is playing, the Mexican restaurants, the textile, the Aztec part of culture is all here. So Guatemala is about half of the population, 56% I read, is indigenous. So they have a much higher percentage of indigenous folks than we do in Panama. And they have 22 different tribes. And the largest one being the Mayan and the syntax or something like that. And they have their own languages. So they all speak Spanish because the colonizers forced them to speak Spanish, but they kept their tribal language. Even in Panama, when we see the indigenous folks in the streets, they're not speaking Spanish, but they know Spanish. They go to school and all that, but they kept their tribal language. So that was happening. 22 different ones. So I think that's interesting. So the Mayan culture is very prominent here. And tomorrow at 5:30, woo, you hear that? I don't know what's playing. It's not fireworks. I don't know what it is, but they just been doing that all day long. And so I'm gonna go explore the Mayan culture. So we're gonna ride for so many hours, I don't know, and then we're gonna take a boat and we're gonna visit the Mayan cultures. It's almost like we are going to do what we do for the Embera community in Panama. So we're going to see how they live, eat their food, and their textile. I wanted to buy a shawl, but they're all, like a very light one. I like shawls. And then they don't they have them heavy, with the poncho and stuff. I'm like, I'm in Panama. We don't have room for this, fiber, hot. Mm-mm, no bueno. So that's the makeup of. So I asked between my driver and my guide, I was pumping question, and I have some script to show you. While I'm in the car and I'm asking question, that's when I saw the multiple Walmarts and all the McDonald's. They love pizza, and but the food. Let's talk about the food first. Now, me as a foodie, not impressed, right? And that's why, people talk about Mexico. I said, I think I would love Mexico, but I'm not crazy about Mexican cuisine. I'm not into tacos and wrapped tortillas. I just don't like that. But I know they have fresh ingredients, so I can make a salad and other things. So here, just like we don't see a lot of vegetables on the plates, it's the same here. So tortillas, right? Tortillas. I watch this lady make it, and then they have one that is black, and it made from that dark corn that we have also that they have in Peru. In Peru, I am in Antigua in Guatemala. I was here for Semana Santa. I wanted to experience Holy Week in another country. But you know what? I can talk about that later. Panama does a good thing because now I can compare. hmm So the food. So of course, lots of corn, lots of tortillas. I went to a restaurant that is well known apparently here, and on the menu they had eggs. It's like brunch, right? They had eggs, they had fried chicken, and then they had I had a piece. I didn't have eggs. They had a piece of queso blanco. In the uh, Americas, they make their own artisanal cheese. I like that. I like that cheese. And then they had maduros, which is the sweet plantain. Uh, or they had some black bean thing. I thought it was mole, but then the driver is like, no, it's not mole. Mole has chocolate and cinnamon. I'm like, no. So it's just they pureed the black bean, and it was really tasty. I like that. And then you have the chips that they fry. That you scoop the black bean with that. I can eat that. And then they have a lot of he calls it stew, but they're like soups. So they have one soup that has shredded beef in it. Like yesterday, I had the sampler, and I was like, And they had one that was green, and it has chicken, which I could tell was, fresh chicken. It wasn't frozen, but it was green, and it has more of a lemony taste. And I was talking to the chef who owns the restaurant, and I'm like, and he's like, how was it? I'm like, yeah. But I like the one with the green sauce. And I said, is that lemon? He said, no, it's not lemon. It's tomatillo. I'm like, oh, okay, I can eat that. What was the other one? Different one. They use a lot of dried chilies. So they have different, he calls them stews, but I call them soup. And of course, whew, in the Americas, they call the broth or the soup caldos. So caldos de whatever meat you put in it, caldo de res, caldo de puerco, caldo de pollo, right? But I wasn't feeling them. But the good thing is that when they give you a side of rice, it's like in a small ramekin, not like in Panama. It's like rice, and you have to say, oh, ja, ja, ja. They don't give you that much rice. So I did not see any fried plantain, so I'm keeping all the plantains for me. They have maduros, which is not fried plantains. It's just sliced ripe bananas. So not too much rice. So it's meat, chicken. Here in this region, we are not close to water, but there is a lake, Lake Atitlan, that was created by a volcanic crater. So that lake produces some fish. And I said, okay, I could eat fish in Panama, but I was hungry. I haven't had anything to eat today except for that little bread and coffee this morning. So I said, well, let me take my chance with Uber. And I see they had Pedidos Ya here, which is the delivery guys. So I go in there and I order the food. And he says, okay, your driver is going to be here at this time. So 3 minutes before, I go downstairs, waited at the door. 10 minutes, nothing. The time kept going up further and further. I'm like, what's going on? Next thing I know, I look down and it says, order completed. Rate your order. And I'm like, well, I didn't get any order. What do you mean, rate your order? So I'm trying to find where to contact Uber. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, is that a scam? Es una estafa? Don't do that with me. So I don't know what kind of excuse he told me they was going to contact the operator and blah, blah, blah. So they refunded my money. I was like, okay, so can't do that here. Now, so I talk about the food. So I'm not impressed with the food at all. What else do they eat? They have a hot sauce that is green, but let me tell you, it is fire. Nothing like even the Panamanian hot. It is fire. And it's like, I ordered a soup the other day and they sent me, I'm like, who's going to put that in the soup? Not moi. I like a little heat, but not extreme heat. So that's that. So in terms of the fish, I haven't seen fish where I've been in the touristy area. I guess you have to go to certain restaurants to get the fish because it is harvested from that lake, or it would have to be flown in or brought in from the town that are, neighboring the water. So that's the food. I still need to go back to Peru. Peru, other level. Oh, all right, maybe I'll go back there soon. All right, what else? The weather here is absolutely stunning. It could be what they call not cold, they say fresh at night. Before I came, it said it would be in the 70s during the day, and it's been in the 70s and in the 50s at night. There is no air conditioning in the units, and there's a fan in my room, and I used it yesterday because during the day sometimes it does go up, and then the room gets a little stuffy, but there is no heat. And I was telling someone that in Peru it gets a little colder at night. If you want a heater, a space heater, they charge you extra for it. But they have these blankets that they make from animal skin or whatever, and they're really nice and warm. So there is one here, but I didn't have to use it. So that's the temperature. Um, we're on the same thing as Panama, rainy season, dry season, same time. And I'm glad you guys caught on because we in Panama, we are ahead 1 hour. And then you in the Eastern zone, you're ahead of us. That's what I said. In the US Eastern time, you're 2 hours ahead of Guatemala. I know it gets confusing. So the best thing to do is just go to that world clock and put the country, they'll tell you where it is. Um, so, so the el clima, Greta, it's very comfy. I'm glad I brought this. You could not have a black one and this one. And sometimes that's all you need. A little something on your arm and then you're good. But I always carry I bought a couple of other wraps just in case because I don't want to be cold. What else? The people, it's difficult for me to get a feel for the people because this is a touristy area. Remember that. Antigua is attractive to tourists, but for that Semana Santa or the good, whew, we're not being invaded. They're just celebrating Easter. I don't know what that is, but the locals, people from other areas, do come here to celebrate, to spend the weekend. It's like a destination. So it's very difficult for me to gauge, the people, how they are. But I still think Panamanians are much friendlier, right? Whenever you come in contact with a local, they have something they want you to buy, and there is a lot to buy. Artisanal stuff, candy galore. I think I took a picture. I don't know if I posted it, where these guys pull this cart, and in the cart they have different beautiful nuts, and I'm nuts about nuts, right? So they have pistachios, they have almonds, they have um, peanuts all kind of ways. So I bought half a pound the other day and I ate it all. So yesterday I'm like, no, not doing it anymore. But they, ice cream, artisanal ice cream, they have all kinds of stuff. So they want something from you. So I don't know that they are as, open or friendly. It's just like you bring your money and I want your money kind of thing. But one example of the people's psyche I had yesterday, and I try not to generalize people, right? So I knew I wanted to participate in the Easter service. So I had asked the guide, I'm like, should I go to the cathedral or should I go to this Señor de la Merced, uh, Our Lady of Mercy Church? He's like, well, I like this one better, but they're going to do service the night before. So I went there last night. We were standing in line, and there were some young people behind me. We chatting, and then there was another family of four ahead of me, and we're still chatting, smiling, and you had to wait a good hour and a half to get into the church because the line started getting long. And this big burly guy comes on, and he sets like a big tripod and put a big speaker on it, like they were going to broadcast it to people who are not able to get inside the church. And then he walked over there, and then he had like an electrical cord, and he threw the electrical cord, and the electrical cord hit this lady on the leg, and she's like, oh. So there was a young man, maybe I think it was maybe his mother-in-law. When the guy came to the speaker stand, he said, well, you just threw that and it hit my mom or whoever the lady was. He said, you should be careful in the future. Whoa, that guy he lost it. He started yelling at the guy. Next thing I know, they're shoving. That other little guy was this big. That big dude was like with a lot of corn tortillas showing. Like, whoa, so I got to move back. And then he was pushing the lady, pushing him. Big scuffle. Thank goodness the police were there and they came and grabbed him. Oh, the lady was so upset. She was just shaking, and he pushed the guy in the nose. And I'm like, so just a little glimpse on whether he was upset with so many visitors or that was his job, or I don't know what it was, but it was just an example of somebody totally, losing control over something simple. All he had to say was, Lo siento, señora, right? Lo siento, señora would have gone a long way and everything's cool. But he just took it and just started shoving, pushing. And I'm like, now you're going to be in jail for assault. So I'm not generalizing anything, but I don't feel that warm and fuzzy type feel that you might find people talk about in Panama. Mm-mm, I don't. I'm not. And again, remember, I'm a two-time kind of person. I don't ever like to make a decision based on one experience, just like the hostel. Now, this is a done deal for me because this is the second. Okay, what else do I like about? I love, like I said, I love the weather, the food. But we went to the market. So the guy yesterday, the guide. So I turned around. I'm like, okay, is it me? Just me? So I was the only client. Same thing happened in Machu Picchu. I had one guide to myself, which is kind of cool. And he gave me the history about the church and what they meant, and the doors and the painting and stuff on it. And then he started telling me about certain buildings, where we had monasteries and order of not monks. Yeah, we had monks too, and the nuns and stuff. Okay. And then I said, I'm not going to have time to go take a cooking class because, I'm not here that long. And then, Semana Santa, you really couldn't schedule a lot of things between Friday and Saturday. Some businesses were closed, of course. And then I said, can I go? I'd love to go to the market. Is there a market here? He said, yeah. So we walked, I don't know, 5 blocks to the market. And that was a feast for the eyes. It was not laid out just like the market I saw in Cusco in Peru, but my God, the fruits. And I was strong. It's mango season. I don't know if you know that I love mangoes. I love mangoes. So mangoes on a stick. So they have a mango this big. They stick a stick on it. They peel it, and that was the thing that made me laugh. Nobody was wearing gloves. I don't know, washing their hands, bare hands. They're cutting the mangoes, and then the lady had make some design on the mangoes, and they sprinkle something on it, and I was like, oh my God, lots of mangoes. I'm like, but I did not. I did not. I brushed my teeth with the bottled water, and that's one thing. Those places that you rent, like here, we get fresh, potable, clean water. So I just fill my bottle, but even they have, I mean, so much street food laying around, but I've been good. I only had the nuts. I didn't try anything else. They have a lot of sweet stuff on the cart. I'm like, no, azúcar, I don't need that. They have another cart where they have sweetened cooked sweet potatoes. I'm like, mm-mm. They have squash cooked. Mm-mm. They had figs. And I'm like, but I don't know how it was prepared. And that's why I usually don't get sick when I go somewhere. I don't play around with touching, eating things that I don't know. Mm-mm. But I think if I was in an Airbnb and I could buy some bleach, I could soak those mangoes in some bleach. I would eat it then, but I'm not going to do that. I'm like, no, not worth it. Let's see, very Catholic, of course, that's what they inherited from the colonizers from Spain. Oh, I asked that question. I'm like, okay, do you have a lot of Spanish families here? He said, of course. He said there are about 38 families that own most of the riches in the country. And I'm like, where have I heard that before? Same pattern. Nothing is different, right? And then he said, if you see a business thriving, the largest businesses owned by Spanish families. So their great great granddaddies left, but they're still here. Isn't that the same thing in South Africa, in Africa? You think you're free, right? Yes, you think you're free, but we hold the purse. And then I said, okay, I know in Panama we have a lot of Asians. He's like, oh yeah, we have a lot of Chinese, he said, and a lot of South Koreans. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't see that we have that many South Korean, but I know we have Asians in Panama. Um, what else did he say? Religion wise, of course, mostly Catholic, but he says, they have other religion. I did see a lot of the saint. Those are everywhere, but not a high priority. But the Mayan culture, oh, there's another video that's going to come out. He took me to a place. He said, I'm going to tell you about the Mayan culture, the textile and Mayan culture. So we got into religion and their beliefs, and I taped him because he had something in his attache that he pulled out, and it was like a chart. So he went over the Mayan beliefs and about life and death and the afterlife, and I was like, wow, that is so interesting. So I taped him, so I'm just going to let him talk about it because this is not my thing. It's his um rendering of his history, his country's history was super, super, super interesting because I'm going to go see the Mayan culture tomorrow. I think it's going to be interesting. The other thing he said, I didn't get a chance to check it out. He said, I said, well, in Panama, people love to relax. And he said, yeah, we do that too. He said, but we also like to drink alcohol because in the Mayan culture, alcohol is not bad because there is a picture he took me to the little house, and I'm like, "Is that like a picture of colonial time?" He said, "No, this is an altar." I'm like, "Oh, okay." When they bring food and booze to the Mayan god, and it's not God, it's gods. So it's like, wow, that is so interesting. So I'll share that with you because I love hearing about culture. Because every time, I think one of the things that is wrong with this world is because we think that's why Christianity, I was like, when you go to a country and then you tell people with what they did to the Americas, you need to dress like we do, you're going to speak our language, and you're going to adapt to our God and our religion. That's what they tried to do here. But the Mayan culture has survived, and they have their own beliefs, the way they dress, just like we have the mola in Panama. The ladies, yeah, they are short in stature, but I think I saw maybe the Peruvian, as a rule, a little shorter. I don't know. They all kind of interrelated, but you don't see them wearing a lot of pants. Maybe some of the young people, but they went these really. They're very into lots of colors, colorful skirts, colorful tops with beads sometimes, and then they like to wear like a big colorful belt. And of course, everything they carry, they wrap it in these big colorful um, blankets, right? They carry the kids, the babies in the back too, and yank that breast out and breastfeed that baby in public. That's most over the world except certain European countries, women can't breastfeed. They do it on the bus, sitting on the bench, and everybody just kind of mind their own business. um, what else can I tell you about Antigua and Guatemala? I think we talked about, the way the government subsidizes foreigners who come to build businesses. Like he said that the government tell the Chinese they're into garment, clothing, and tells them that, oh, you can come open a factory and work, hire people, and you don't have to pay taxes for 10 years. 10 years. Think about the amount of revenue that would be for your people. But this is how it works, right? hmm So that's that. Um, they have some buses that look like our Diablo Rojo, but they're like blue and green, not red. And they have the miniature ones. Posted a picture, and those are ice cream carts. So interesting. What else? Ask me a question. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I think it's a good place to visit. Seriously. Now Tuesday when I'm leaving, I think my flight is at 4. and I'm going to ask the driver if he would take me to the city. Guatemala City was about hour. Well, we hit traffic, right? So, oh, it was crazy. The traffic was stopped coming into Antigua ahead of the holiday. But it's usually like 45 minutes or an hour. I think maybe hour and a half. To go to the city, between the city and Antigua. But I'm gonna ask him to take me around the city. I asked him if they had issues with gangs, pandillas, and he said, yeah, in certain areas, but and I'm like, just like Panama. I mean, people talk about gangs. Yeah, there are gangs everywhere, but we know there are certain hotbeds. So he said, you just stay away from those. But never felt unsafe in Antigua. I mean, of course, I was wearing my backpack usually in the front, and I had my crossbody, so my passport, my money, everything was with me. And when I go to the money, when I go to exchange money, the first thing they ask you is your passport. This young girl came after me. She's like, I have some dollars. I'd like some questales. That's the name of the currency, questal, Questal. It is named after the national bird, and I'm gonna post that. It's got a long tail feather kind of thing. So the money is named after the bird called questal or questales. With any currency, it moves and flows. Today, it's about 6 questales to $1, and it hasn't been difficult to figure out. Um, they call the bread that I got this morning a little round. It's not that sweet. They call it questal también, pan questal, questal, Questal. Um, I think Yeah, the government, I think he said they have a president and he's there for 4 years. Whew. But the alcalde, which is the mayor, said the alcalde can be reelected, but not the president. I think that's all I have. Just I'm having a fabulous time, and look at this. The sun is out. Look at this. Woo. Now, see, I'm hearing music. That means they're still having procession somewhere. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that view. Have any question? And I have to put these glasses on because I won't be able to read anything on that screen. But the sun is out, but it's not harsh. It's, yeah. No gangs in America. Okay. I know, Auntie. It is so beautiful up here. And a lot of the restaurants have, they don't call it a rooftop like they do in Panama. They call them a terraza, a terrace. Because, like I said, in true Mexican influence type of architecture, if you go down that street, you're going to see all the homes are one level with the beautiful doors. And then when you just open the doors and then you don't know what's behind, could be something absolutely stunning. But they don't have two-story homes. You have a home level and you can have a terrace. The church service was just like a regular Catholic service. All the repetition, the same thing. The priest sings the thing and somebody answers. Yeah, same thing. And then, of course, they do communion and all that. What do you mean? Where is that, Mexico? Guatemala borders Mexico to the south. You have Mexico and then Guatemala to the south. And that's the beginning of Central America all the way down to Panama. And then you hit Colombia, and then you're in South America. Oh, I was going to tell you the story about Belize. What the guy told me, and I hope I understood, because, I was practicing my Spanish, boy. I was so happy. He said, if I say anything you don't understand, let me know. I'm like, okay. A couple of times I would ask him, what is that? But to be able to carry a conversation with your driver or your guide is such a nice, and I'm not saying this because I teach Spanish, but When you understand the language, your experience in a new place is that much richer. So between Belize, he said, and I asked him, he said that they had about 10% negritas, he says, black people. And I'm like, oh, because there was one lady on my plane, on my flight, well, I was the only chocolate person. And then I saw that one lady, and they have the skin texture is different, but the hair is like indigenous, right? And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I am in Antigua, Guatemala. Yes. So he said that people in Belize, we were the black African, Caribbean people were there. And apparently at some point in time, and I haven't read, I'm just repeating what he said. At some point in time, they made a deal with the UK. And then after they made the deal, then they separated from Guatemala, because if you look at the map, it's right on the edge of Guatemala. And then he said, no, no, ellos no nos quieren. They don't like us. And I'm like, why don't they like you? He said, because we're separated from them and they think they speak English, we speak Spanish. And he said, they think they speak the best English in Latin America. I'm like, oh my God. I did not know. I did not know the connection between Guatemala and Belize. Well, Belize is a hotbed of gringos. Some people have had fair experiences. Just like some places in Colombia, I understand they call it Gringo Mountain or something like that, because they like to congregate and stake their claim, like repeating the same pattern of what happened. And of course, they have the same issue of classism. If they look at you, depending on what kind of car you drive, you already automatically put into a level socially. We just keep doing this stupidity. But I'm like, like they do to us. What are you going to do? You just shrug your shoulder and you just go. But when that oppression is like that, that's what it gets, really bad. Yeah, there you go. They made a deal with the UK, and then they separated from Guatemala. So now they're walking up with their noses up, thinking they're better than Guatemala. I was like, and Greta, the name for Guatemalan in Spanish is Guatemalteco. Guatemalteco, not dense, like we do estadounidense. I thought you'd enjoy that. Yep. I know, it's the same story. When he's talking to me about them holding the majority of the wealth of the country, the majority of the businesses, it's like, you free, but we got you around the neck right here. What are you talking about? You think you asked to be independent. Okay, go ahead. We sign that piece of paper, but before we give you that paper, like France did, you report all your money to us and we hold this, we hold that. It's the same old. I'm trying not to say a cuss word right now because that's the way I feel. But it's the same old stuff. A word that starts with S. Ugh. So annoying. Same playbook. It has never changed. And it's all about power, grabbing, taking. And then when they throw you a few bones, some of us, we think, oh, yeah, we're free, we're successful, whatever. They're just giving you the rope up to a little area. And then when you start feeling too big for your britches, it's like, they reel you in. Make sure you remember who you are. That's the system we're living under. It's never changed. It's the same thing. Same. So at the end of the day, you can take it all in. That's why I tell people, you cannot fight a system. You're not fighting a person or a group. You're fighting a system that was established. Who decided that the way it's supposed to be? That's my question. I want to know how it started. How can a group decide that they are the owners of everything that is good, rich, and everybody else is down here? I just want to know that question. That's all I want to know. Many Belize people migrated and Spanish people came to Belize and took their land. Well, of course. Grab. Stories with S now, Auntie. You know I wasn't saying that. I wasn't what thinking. It's all about power. But the thing to me is there's no sharing though. It's like it's all ours. That group there, it's all ours. Yeah, we'll throw you a few bones as long as you remember who you are. Don't get any ideas. Yeah. If you don't wrap that in your brain, that's what kills you. You know, you just kind of get into a headspace that is not really good because you still have to thrive. And that's what Maya Angelou said. Despite everything, still we rise, right? Let's see, what is that? No, helicopter. It's all about power. The grabbing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And always, you know, and when they want it, they don't stop at anything to get it. Wars, genocide, that's all about that power. You know, shaking the foundation. If a country starts doing well, oh no, we got to nip that in the bud. Okay, who do they think they are? So it's that constant yin and yang, good and evil, constantly. Yeah, that's what we're up against. All right, guys. Oh, I told you about my Uber Eats story. So now I guess I'm going to have to go out again and try to find something. Because now, I don't want to eat a lot of bread. Thank goodness they don't give a lot of rice, which is good. I don't want beef. I don't want to go back to the same place, have chicken. See, firecrackers. The one thing that I think I might have to eat for dinner, last night I didn't have supper because I just wanted to kind of go down a little bit. My face was still puffy. And I think I like their tostadas. Tostadas are like the big corn tortillas, crispy, and then they can top it with a lot of things. You know, like they could put ceviche type meat. There was one I was going to order. Now I'm not going to order Uber Eats. So I have to actually go out and try to find something to eat because the choices are limited for me. Because you're not going to say, I want a salad. I don't think I saw anywhere there's a salad on the menu. You can make it. Or I'd have to live on fruits, but still I can't have the fruits. Well, I'll tell you, last night to be able to get into a bed, not as comfortable as mine, but still better than that hard thing over there. Oh my God, my back was starting to act up. I'm like, oh no, I'm too old for that. I'm paying the money and getting on it. And that's what I did. All right, it's starting to sprinkle a little bit. I need to move this table. Did anybody else have any questions? But I think Antigua is a good place for somebody to come visit. In fact, I was going to tell my SWRA ladies, I think it would be a good place to visit. But I can't say anything about Guatemala City because I haven't been there yet to see would we be safe in the city. But this, I felt really safe here. So, and you know, a lot of cops hanging around because if it's that the money making, you know, for tourism, they want to protect the tourists. You know, I was never in danger of having my phone snatched. Didn't have any of that. So, yes. No, I'm going to be good. Tomorrow I have to get up early and go to the Mayan. Ooh, I'm excited about that, to see them. And I'm sure I'm going to have to eat a tortilla or two. Yes. So I exchanged some more money because I was like down to like 10 quetzales. That's like $1 and something. I'm like, no, because tomorrow we're going to have to buy food, buy our lunch. I don't think the lunch is included in the tour. It was only $80. But it's like, oh, and then it says 5:30 in the morning they pick you up. I got to check again because I had to update my pickup location since I moved. And it's going to be, it says return 6:30. I booked a restaurant that I think it's kind of a typical restaurant, and then they have a dance show in the evening. So it's about, they asked me, when do you want to come? I said, well, 7, because he said the show started at 7:30. But now it says with my trip that we return at 6:30. So I was gonna cancel, and I had to pay a deposit for them to save my spot. And I'm like, you know what? If I don't show up, they're not gonna give me my money back. I know that. They're gonna say, "Oh, sorry." I did not hostel. I moved to another place. It's a house that has. I have a private room, and it's not like we're sharing. I'm on the second floor, and it's got a nice bathroom, and it's quiet. Oh, yes, a tortilla or two. Greta, I have to work on the tortilla. I wasn't feeling it when they put it there next to the chicken, and I took a bite. I'm like, no, no me gusta. It didn't have any taste. You know, I'm a taste queen. I'm like, there's no taste. I don't like that. That's why, I don't care for Mexican food that much. I would drink, I would eat their soup. Sometimes they have a nice soup. I'll eat soup anywhere. Oh, that soup from Peru. You know, I got to go to Peru just to eat. But their soups and stuff. I don't. I'm not a taco kind of person. Nope. Yes, I did, Auntie, and I swore. Now, after the second time with the hostel's not for old people. Okay, I could be on a budget, but I'm not gonna sacrifice my sleep and my health, just to save a few dollars. No, 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 no. I don't sleep in hotels anyway, right? But yesterday I was just super tired because I hadn't slept in 2 days. It's like, no, I'm gonna get sick. No bueno. So I'm happy now. So I booked it for 3 nights. I was over there for 2 nights. That was enough. I'm like, no mass, no mass. So if I'm gonna go somewhere and they say that's all we have is a hostel, but the problem is, if you want to go someplace, you book your flight and there are no accommodations, you are stuck. You are stuck. And some of them will say, sharing a room, not sharing, having a private room is one thing, but not all of them have private bathrooms. They'll say shared bathroom, and it's like, no bueno, right? I'm not sharing. And then you get in there, you wiping, no. This is the person who doesn't use public bathroom. If I absolutely have to go, I stay and I squat. I don't touch things. I don't like to touch things. I don't know where something has been. No. No bueno. Woo! Again, see? People forget I'm old with all that banging. They're blowing their firecrackers. Yes, I did the 3-hour walk. I was tired because remember, I had come up the 2 days without sleep. And I walked with that guy, went to the market and came around. Finally, I said, take me to a restaurant. I just need to sit somewhere. And that's where I went to the rooftop and had that mix, with that plate. And then what did I do? And I think that's when I came out and I went back to the place and said, I'm leaving. Bye. But last night I couldn't sleep. I had to go to the service. And I did. Girl, you cannot share a bathroom. It's like being in a bed with someone. The guy was snoring all night long. I could not sleep. And then it was like, I'm turning over here. You want to make too much noise. Then I would sit with my neck on the thing. I was like, oh, Maggie, you are too old for that. Too old. No. I like to count my pennies, but certain things you can't scringe on, your comfort away from home. No. But I did buy my SIM card and it's working beautifully. Look at that. The internet's been spotty here, but up here, because I guess I'm in the open and the towers and everything, I haven't had any issues. But in the room, it will go off. And I was gonna tell you guys, if it goes off, just wait. It will come back. Come on, guys, hit the like button for me, please. 16, we need to go a little bit higher. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'm not gonna live, but I will record some things, after I ask, me permite una foto, me permite un video. Yeah, you always ask for permission. But in those places, because they're used to foreigners and tourists, I was like, oh, sure. But maybe I can watch them cook something. I know in Peru there is a tour where you go to the indigenous place where they live and they show you how they cook their potatoes, where they stick it in the ground in the fire. And but in Peru they have those what do they call those pigs? What do they call those little rat-looking things that they say if you go to their guinea pigs? Are they guinea pigs? If you go to their homes and they present you one, that means they consider you an esteemed visitor. And I have to pray to God that they don't see me as an esteemed because I'm not eating it. But the food in Peru, I will eat. The loma saltado, that beef tips with the peppers, that's yummy. That soup is yummy. I did not have one bad meal in Peru. Not one bad meal in Peru. Yes, I got to go back. Not to Machu Picchu. I don't want to go do that again. On these mountains, no, once is enough. In my 23-hour ride through the Andes, no mas. You eat your food. Yeah, I think wherever I go, if I can find some, let's say in terms of the fruit, let me tell you, mangoes, it's mango season, galore. Their pineapples, lots of pineapple, but their pineapples look a little different from our pineapples. Greta, whoever is in Panama, they're not just round like this. They wide at the bottom and then they get narrow at the top. I haven't seen that. Their papayas are oblong, long, and narrow at both ends, which is very different from ours. What else do they have in terms? I saw lots of apple, manzana, and they said a lot of those things are imported. Kiwi, apples. I saw some blackberries. They look smaller. Bananas. Okay. When you ask someone what are the main products that they are good for, that makes part of the country's revenues, is coffee, bananas, and sugar, azúcar. But then I'm like, I said to one of the guys, I'm like, we have really good coffee in Panama. How's your coffee? He's like, oh, coffee is good. In fact, there is one lake here around Antigua that was created by a volcanic crater, Lake Atitlan. And that's where I said you find the fish. But the food, so you don't see a lot of fish. So in terms of other watermelon, sandia, I had all kinds of watermelon. And the bananas, I was talking about the coffee. You see, that's what happened. I lose my train of thought. The coffee, so I was telling him how good our coffee is. And I am to tell you, I'm a coffee snob. If the coffee is not good, I'll tell you it's not good. So he said, oh, el café. Of course, you in the Americas, people drink coffee all the time. And of course, we know that Colombia is known for coffee. Panama is known for coffee. The most expensive coffee is grown here, well, in Panama, in Chiriquí, $1,000+ per bag, per pound. Not that I tasted it at a tasting, but I'm not buying that. I'm too cheap for that. But the coffee is really good in Panama. So on the plane, I asked for a cafe. They give me a little, I'm like, not bad, right? And this is another one here. You don't automatically get cream. You have to ask for it, right? And then it's like, oh, azúcar morena. Oh, no, azúcar blanca, white sugar. I'm like, no bueno. And then today, I got up and I said, I think the driver, the guide told me that the service was at 9. I said, okay, at about 8 o'clock, I need to stand in line to reserve my spot so I can get into the church. It's Easter. So I got there, the church was full. So I asked this guy, I'm like, having a misa on there? He's like, oh yeah, this one started, the next one's at 10. So I had like an hour to kill. And I said, okay, I'm going to find something to eat, especially a coffee. That's when I ended up with the cristal bread. And they give me a coffee, and they asked, I said, a little bit of milk, and then, I did a little short about it. I wasn't impressed. I don't know. I'm like, Panama got you on the coffee. This is nothing like Duran. We have good coffee in Panama. Duran, is it Palo Alto? I found another one, It doesn't matter what the brand coffee that I try in Panama, it is excellent. I'm just telling you. And I used to buy Colombian coffee, Bustelo. No bueno. We got it. We got it. So they didn't win the coffee either. I don't know about Mexico. Since they're so close to Mexico, so I would say, let me try that coffee, Greta, and I'll tell you. All right? Like I said, I'm a coffee snob. If I get a good cup of coffee, I'll tell you. If it's like water, so that place coffee wasn't good. Yesterday, I went someplace. Was it yesterday or the day before? And I had another cup of coffee. And it's like, no. They have a Starbucks here. I don't like Starbucks coffee, so I didn't go in there. But it's a busy, and they have some beautiful murals about the Questal, the bird. It's a destination. People go in there. But no, I didn't care for the coffee. No, nope, nope, nope. But that's me. That's me. Okay, I'm not saying in general, and I don't know what brand coffee, because sometimes a brand is better than the other. But like I said, I haven't tasted a bad brand of coffee in Panama. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. They don't have any ñame, no yam. They have yuca, and I'm like, you can't even do a sancocho, which is Panama's, national dish. What is their sancocho? Oh, their national dish is their pere something, pere something. I think it was on that plate. No, it has not been, Auntie. I didn't come here for the food, of course, and I usually do a food tour, a food cooking class. I didn't get a chance to, but the things that I've tried, mm-mm. No. I fixed my own coffee. Had not had coffee in 2 years. Ooh, wow. No. I mean, I don't drink coffee all the time, but I like a really good cup of coffee. Whew, and it's supposedly good for you. And I don't even have a cup a day. But if I have a good cup of coffee, I know at home, sometimes when you finish eating dinner and you finish with a nice cup of coffee, oh, yeah. I don't drink beer or anything like that, but yeah, I have a good cup of coffee or one glass of a good white wine. Yeah, but like I said, that's not what it's like when I went to Paris. I was like, oh, Paris, Paris, Paris. I went to the restaurant. I'm like, nothing special about that food. Talk about the baguette. Talk about the croissant. Yes, bravo. But we leave the food alone. You're not that great at the food. And the wine, yes, you're good. And don't let me get with the UK. Their food is like no bueno. German food, I don't like that either. I'm kind of a snob, right? Costa Rica is close to us. Lots of rice and peas. It's very Caribbean where I was, so it's hard for you to mess up oxtail and curried chicken. It's really hard to mess that up. Just follow directions and you're gonna be good. Yes. So you don't get a Caribbean and you're bringing some food. I was like, if it's bland, or you think you're just gonna pour a bunch of hot sauce on it and think that it's gonna be good. I'm like, what you talking about? Remember that little guy? It's like, no, 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 no. That's why for me as a cook, I just watch how people their relationship with food. See, if food is just something to do, and you just like some people, yeah, I like to eat because I need to eat to live. It's a different kind of relationship versus someone like me who's like food is life. So if it's life, I'm gonna make it look good and taste good because if I'm gonna enjoy it, and it's just like when I'm buying gift for someone, it's a bad habit I have. I will buy someone something that I like. And I'm like, well, they may not like what I like, but I find myself gravitating to something I like. Like I like classical music. I assume everybody likes that. Not everybody's into classical music. My sister, same parents. She's like, oh, sis. She's into country music. I'm like, are you my sister? Where you come from? I cannot stand that. But we appreciate each other's differences. And that's all I'm saying. But if I go and I taste the food and I'm like, it's okay. It's not, I'm not criticizing you. It hasn't hit my taste bud. That's all that means. If someone messes up Oxtail, I know. We did what did we have? A competition at the last Fridays at Maggie's that we had. And I did trivia. I did a trivia a quiz, make something interesting. The ladies really liked that because there were some people who had just gotten to Panama. We talked about the population, the indigenous culture, and certain things. They even asked me for it. They said, "Do you have that information? That's good for me to know." Because I'm like, just like I learned a little something about Guatemala. If I'm gonna visit or I'm gonna live, I need to know. I need to know. That's that curiosity that I have. It's innate to me. That's why I love to travel. Because if I go and I'm like, how about this? How about that? So I'm in the car with this driver and I'm like, what is that? What is that? And he's telling me about that they broke up the city in zonas. He said zones they have, whereas we have district. He said they have zones. I was like, oh, okay. Does that mean the zone mean you have some residential zone and then he said, no, just the way on the map. I'm like, oh, okay. And then every time we enter the new place, like, oh, this is this area. We're entering over here. This is, I'm curious like that. So, and sometimes I forget that not everybody's like that. And I have to kind of tone myself down and say, not everybody's going to go into a place and fully engage, and just, and I don't like to spend money. So I like to do activities that are, free. Look at, you see, we had a little bit of rain, and then look at the clouds already covered the mountain. That reminds me of Sedona. Have you been to Sedona in Arizona? I went up there by myself because I was supposed to. I know I do these things. I was supposed to go on a tour when I was in Arizona one time to visit Sedona, and then I think that the night before they said, "Oh, um, we canceled the tour," and I'm like, "Oh." I had rented a car. I got in my car and I started going up the mountain. And they say 1,000 feet, 3,000 feet. I think, I don't remember, 12,000. We were way up there. And when I got out there, they talk about the vortex. And I was like, my balance was off a little bit. And then I was, I grabbed the wheel. I'm afraid of height, okay? I'm grabbing the wheels like, 20 miles an hour. They're flashing the side. They're passing me. I probably wouldn't do it now. So when I got up there, I mean, all that red and the air and the people, they're like into, I'm like, ooh. And then I said, oh my God, I have to come down the mountain. Then I had to come down. Same thing. It's like, okay, God, you're going to take me down that mountain. And grab the wheel, going, barely the speed limit. People passing me, honking. Same thing happened in Hawaii. I went to Lahaina. You doing this, except it wasn't the mountain. It was the Pacific Ocean. You just going on the edges. You know what I did? The second time I went with my daughter, I said, Raphael, grab that magazine and place it against the window so I don't get tempted to look down. And on the way back, 15 miles an hour, 20. Started raining, started getting dark. I thought I was going to have a panic attack. So it's like, Raphael, just keep that so I don't see. Oh my God. It was a forever trip. And when we got back to the hotel, I said to the concierge, I'm like, do people ever fall off? Because it was like so close. And same thing in Sedona. When you go in the mountains, and when you like this, you really have to watch yourself because you could kind of slip down. And he said, oh, a few, when they're drunk. Never again. I just barely survived. So when I'm talking to Raphael, she said, that was terrible, Mo. I'm like, she couldn't drive. And I wouldn't even give her the wheel at that time. I don't care if she was a driver. I was just going to dive myself in there, hanging onto the steering wheel and going. They were flashing the light, flashing. It's raining. They were passing me. I'm like, go ahead. I'm not getting fixing to go down in that ocean. We just going slow and taking our curves. And, oh, God, it was terrible. It was, and that's a little place that burned down. You remember the fires that they had in Hawaii? Yes. I was in Maui, and then we drove to Lahaina, which is a little. We went to see some kind of dance cultural thing, and by the time we finished, it was dark. But I survived, and I'm here to talk about it. But here they had some tours. They say, "Oh, you could do an ATV tour." Oh, did I tell you that there is one uh volcano here that is? Oh, Auntie, you're the one who told me about this volcano. They call it Volcan de Fuego. They call him the fire volcano. And then the guy said, "Oh, it erupts every 2-3 days." And he said, "We're used to it. It's no biggie." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Because the one you told me, like on the third, you could see the lava coming in the fire. That's what they call it. But the guy said they prefer that it erupts every so often like that, so that not everything is kind of pressured and stays in, so that when you have an eruption, it's just. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh my gosh. But no, I said I'm not gonna climb to. You can go get close to the volcano. Why would I want to do that to the volcano? No. Mm-mm. I said I don't need to go close to the volcano. I wouldn't want to live here anyway, because I don't care if you tell me a volcano is dormant. I don't know how long it's gonna be dormant. No. Mm-mm. No. Yes, it releases pressure. Yeah. Yep, it is still active. And he said, uh, they have three over here, but the Fuego is the one that is the most active. The one that I'm looking at, the Agua, it's supposedly dormant. But then even he said, you could say it's dormant. You never know when it's decided not to be dormant anymore. I don't want to live in the foothills of a volcano. I'm sorry. It's just not me. Sedona is absolutely stunning. And at that time, so I went in there. I'm buying all kind of wraps because I'm a wrap person. And I remember when I went to Italy one time, I just kept buying them and wrapping them, and then I had leather boots, leather. I went crazy. So I was talking to this lady, and she said, I'm a nurse. And I said, yeah, I'm a nurse. She said, oh, well, we could use a nurse here. Why don't you consider moving here? I said, well, first of all, I don't see people like me here. That's one thing. And then she was telling me how uppity some of these people are. He said, when you meet someone, they don't tell you their name. They say, I'm Mrs. Dr. So-and-so. And I'm like, oh, see, that wouldn't work for me. And I'd have to go down the mountain, up and down. Like, no, 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 no. He said, well, we use helicopters. I said, I don't like those either. No, we're not doing that. No, I'm not living by the volcano. You watch the eruption on YouTube. Okay, well, it's good to look at, but I don't want to be close to it. Oh my God, yes. But he said they have, the country has about 33 volcanoes. And he said about 6 of them are active. So we got 1 or 2 of them, but they're scattered around the country. But because, Mexico is very seismic. Mexico hasn't had well, they don't have volcanic eruption. They have, what is it? Oh, tremblement de terre. They have earthquakes. Mexico has. So now, Panama, we are between Costa Rica and Colombia. Colombia has earthquakes, and Costa Rica has earthquakes. So sometimes we can feel, one day I was here. I was sitting in my living room, and I see the table go like this. And then people started saying, oh my God, did you feel that? It was an earthquake. But we don't get directly hit in Panama. We just feel what's happened in Colombia or Costa Rica, because those are pretty active and regular. And we get them. They're like 4.5. We don't feel them, but they're there. The last major earthquakes in Panama, I think, was like early 1900s. So they haven't had a bad one. And then you know what? What are you going to do? Wherever you go, there's going to be something. And people say, oh my God, it's unsafe. I said, sis, you cannot live your life and feel like that. What's going to happen is going to happen. You just can only do what you can. Like my building where I live, it's very narrow and really tall. And I look at it, I'm like, you know what? If there is like a little something, I don't know, the top might just fall over. I don't know. at Maggie's. What is that? We do something every last no, is it last Friday of the month. I'm not having one in April because April we have like trips and stuff scheduled with the ladies group, and I just too much. But we try to do one on the last Friday. It was fun. We did the trivia. They liked it. So I have to come up with some other must know about Panama that they don't know. Yeah. All right, ladies. Anything else? I just wanted to show my face since you didn't see me cook today. And I didn't have a live last night. So I thought, just to stay in touch and see I'm still here. My flight gets in at probably 6 or 7 on Tuesday. And, just say I brought my one carry-on backpack and I had my bag. I put my crossbody in there and my toiletries, phone, charger, and then that's it. And I hopped on the metro for 35 cents and I went all the way to the airport. And that's the way I'm going to go home again. 35 cents. No Uber, para mí. No Uber. Mayonnaise. Yeah, I found the mayonnaise in Panama. The first try was, what was I? I think I was doing a party or something. It wasn't good, but I found the helmet. Not a big one. It has to be that size. But again, you don't know what they put in it to make it taste that good. So it's like, I don't eat that, but if I'm doing a party, I use it. I am in Antigua, which is in the southern part of Guatemala. About an hour and a half from Guatemala City. So I want to see if the driver can take me around because my flight is in the afternoon. So maybe an hour or two and see how much he'd charge me. Take me around, show me certain areas of the city. I like to do that. Usually I would take a bus and go. I don't have enough time because they tell you that if you want to visit, even here or in Peru, wherever you go, you need a couple of weeks to really get a good feel and say that you've seen a lot. There's a lot I didn't see in Peru. Machu Picchu was complicated because it's multiple steps, multiple, you fly into Lima, you fly into Cusco, then I had a driver pick me up. We drove for an hour and a half. We went to another town, we had to catch a train. It was complicated. So I'm like, I did it, don't want to do it again. I was okay in that Andes mountain. But anyway, tomorrow I'll be in the Mayan and see the people, see their culture, see stuff like that excites me. Yes. Okay, they're still shooting something. All right, guys. Thank you, Mama Marie. Listen, I say, when I die, you would say, Maggie died doing what she loves. Travel, cooking, and talking to you all. That's what I do. And I found they have a couple of hospitals here. I'm like, oh, okay. There was EMS people going into a place yesterday. I'm like, okay, they have emergency services. Yes. Some of the stuff I look for. And of course, you buy travel insurance wherever you travel in case something happens. You're going to have to pay, but you can get reimbursed. Thank you. I am planning on enjoying the rest of my trip. Thank you so much. Now I have to go out and get something to eat. I don't want to fast again. I need something to eat. All right. Take care, guys. I'll talk to you soon, all right? God bless. Felices Pascuas.